Okay, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good early morning, wherever you are. This is the Elite Program 21-23 webinar on Thursday, 4th of November. And today we will talk about the unsportsmanlike foul, which sometimes it's a challenging for us. And please excuse if I have some background noise, but because I'm in a public area right now. I do not have any other option, to do this intro. What's the program today? We will have the criteria and the principle discussion, and this will be done by Mike Thompson, and I'm really personally really happy to have a Mike on board. And as always, Mike is presenting very logical and straightforward points for the practical cases. And what we do today, because we had one session on November 2020, and now we have again the Unsportsmanlike file, but there are some updates or upgrades, whatever we would like to wish to have it. So there are some things for the protocols, because we've been repeating that, the Summit 21 was really successful for us, and also created a lot of kind of the supporting material, but as new principles, but also new protocols, because we found out that following the protocols, some cases can be solved easily. So that's why we need to know also the protocols. And then after, I think we will have 7 videos. And one of the videos that we used to have in the complimentary section in the app has been moved to the webinar videos. So you have in the app 3 complimentary videos, and then you have another folders where you have all the videos that will be played during this webinar. And why we have this is because we know that there might be a connection problem, something else. So you guys can play this video, on your own devices whenever we do. And then, of course, in the end, you have a question and the answer. And, I just would like to remind again that, you guys, the Elite Program referee, so this is not really like a kind of the webinar. So be active, also challenge, make the questions, make the comments that can be maybe easy for you, but can be very profitable for your colleagues. This is how we all get better basically every day. And, with these words, I will give the floor to Mike. So Mike, you can put your video on. And, before Mike, you take it over, I just would tell the people that, again, we have a group of people, on the backstage that are doing, everything possible for us. So Armando and Petri today will be behind the scene, helping us to facilitate the whole webinar. So thanks for you guys. And then be active, stay tuned, and be engaged. So Mike, thank you again. Thank you for having you for this webinar, and the floor is yours.
Well, welcome everyone to our 2021-23 Elite Program webinar on the unsportsmanlike foul. Today, we will not be spending more than a brief moment on the rules. We all know these, and we've done a good job of understanding the rule. Our focus is on moving all of us to the next level in understanding the unsportsmanlike foul and understanding how to define the action, to describe the action that leads to the decision. We're going to do a short review through a PowerPoint and then move to 7 videos. You will hear me use the same few phrases over and over today. Phrases like define the action, identify the point of contact. You can't call unless 100% sure. Only call if 100% sure. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? And if it happens, somebody needs to make the call. We said earlier, we all know the rules. This is about taking us the next step to the next level. We all need to understand the philosophy of officiating. And the FIBA referee department has worked hard to ensure that the philosophy is understood and that the referee instructors around the world are all using the same language, the same words, so we have a single philosophy. We place a focus on growing our basketball knowledge. What are the teams and coaches trying to do? How are they trying to do it? What are they teaching? When we combine this with our IoTs, in particular, our positioning and ensuring an open angle to the play, we know the rules and our understanding of the game. We know the criteria we are to apply. And on any play, we can all see red. Yes, there are shades of red, but in the end, if we all do this, focus on positioning and angle, rules and game understanding, criteria, we will all get the same result, which is red. On this slide, each of the 5 criteria for an unsportsmanlike foul is summarized, where we identify only the key words, what we call the power words, for each of the 5 criteria. Let's review these quickly. For C1, no legitimate attempt to play the ball, not a basketball play. Very simple. C2, excessive hard contact, an excessive impact, or perhaps a follow through. Under C3, unnecessary contact by the defense to stop the transition before active shooting. So this is to stop the transition, and it's a potential C3 until the active shooting begins. With C4, we need 3 or 4 criteria, and I'll add the 4th in a minute. So our 3 criteria are that the player is progressing towards the opponent's basket. There's no other opponent between the player, the ball, and the basket. And the illegal contact is from behind or laterally. And of course, illegal contact by the defense. And once again, the C4 applies until we have a player in the act of shooting. And our C5 foul, our last 2-minute throw-in foul. So again, a foul by the defense that is called before the ball is released on the throw-in. This is a slide that you can think about further because these are our power words and really the things we focus on when we identify the point of action, we identify the point of contact. So our unsportsmanlike decision principles, our principles and protocols tell us very simply, to call an unsportsmanlike foul, we need to be 100% certain. Not 90%, not 85%, 100% certain. We need to be able to identify the point of contact. If we go to the IRS or referees getting together on the floor, to change a personal foul to an unsportsmanlike foul, we need to be 100% sure. We need to describe that the action against the criteria. We need to know the point of contact. And ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how certain are we? We need to be 9+. We're looking for 10. We must emphasize, you must be 100% sure to call it. But if it happens, someone needs to make the call. We have talked constantly about the need to process the play, to have quality decisions. To do that in all circumstances in a game of basketball, we need to see the entire play. That's start, develop, and finish. We have to avoid seeing only the end of the play and reacting to it. This produces an emotional decision and is not high-level officiating. This is an elite group of basketball referees from around the world, and we all understand that to produce an analytical decision, we need to see the whole play, the start, develop, and finish. Let's review our technique for calling the unsportsmanlike foul. This is both our mental process and the link from the mental process to our mechanics and signals. If we use this technique to process the play, we can have a quality decision. So our first action, our actual zero action, is to make the decision to call something. We're always going to begin by indicating with a raised arm and closed fist the signal that tells everyone there's a foul. We're going to do that first, and we're going to pause. And we're going to use this time to process if and then what is or what would be the criteria for an unsportsmanlike foul. And then calmly, we'll upgrade this personal foul from an unsportsmanlike foul to a UF by using our signal, holding our wrist above our heads. This processing the play, the technique is critical to keeping ourselves in a calm, cool, collective place and making quality decisions. When we talk about start, develop, finish, what does this really mean for decision making? Let's look at some principles that we can use in all plays. From our IoTs, stay with the play. See the finish. Don't stop refereeing on the first action. Don't stop refereeing on what may be the first foul, particularly for a C2, excessive hard contact. See the finish of the play. Understand in the rules, criteria C1 and C3 all involve the nature of the contact. Does it fit the criteria? No legitimate attempt to play the ball. C2, excessive hard contact. C3, unnecessary contact to stop the transition. That's all nature of the contact. But within C4 and C5, the keys are the criteria. So this is an administrative decision. If the criteria exist, we have a C4 or a C5. So as an example, on the C5, we know it's the last 2-minute throw-in foul. We know the foul must be by the defense on the playing court before the ball is released on the throw-in. If we can check the boxes and have those criteria, we have a C5 foul. So 1 to 3 is nature of contact, C4 is administrative. But it's critical at all times that we're able to identify, to determine the point of contact, and to be able to define the action that establishes the criteria for a U foul. And as we talked about earlier, ask, determine on a scale of 1 to 10, how sure are we? We're looking for above 9. We're looking for a decision of 10. You must be 100% sure to call an unsportsmanlike foul. When you are, make the call. So again, with our unsportsmanlike foul, let's have a quick look. We've said this repetitively. To call a UF, we need to be 100% sure. And if your partner has called an unsportsmanlike foul and they are 100% sure, there's no need for you to challenge that decision. And we'll see that on our last video. Partner is clear, it's an unsportsmanlike foul, they're 100% sure. We do not need referees that have not seen the play to challenge the call. Teamwork, we all work together, trust amongst the crew. If we've called a personal foul, again, to upgrade, we need to be 100%. And I'm sure you're all getting tired of me saying, on a scale of 1 to 10, we need to be 9 and above. We need, excuse me, my apologies. We need to be 9 and above. We need to be at 10 to upgrade. So we have developed a guide for when we have multiple criteria in the same action. Let's just walk through it really quickly. So if we have a C1 and a C2 in the same action, so not a legitimate attempt to play the ball and hard or excessive hard contact, use C2. It's the basketball action that's excessive that will be the focus of everybody else, use C2. If we have C1, not a legitimate attempt to play the ball, and C3, unnecessary contact to stop the transition, go with C3. If we have C1 and C4, use C4. This includes both the basketball action and the check of the criteria on what we determine is a clear path foul. We have a C1 and a C5, use C5 because it's just the check boxes. A little bit more complex, if we have a C2, so hard and excessive contact, and a C3, use C3. C2 and C4 combined, use C4. C2 and C5 combined, use C5. And finally, C3 and C4 will go with C4. If you look at the chart, the real simple way here is if we always understand our criteria 1 to 5 and we have multiple criteria, we always default to, I'll call it the highest criteria. It's not the highest criteria, but the largest number. So C1, C2, we go to C2. C1, C5, we go to C5. Okay, we're going to take one more slide and then we're going to move to our videos. When we get to the videos, as we always do, we want you to ask yourself immediately, what is your decision? What is the criteria you're using if your decision is an unsportsmanlike foul? And what is the action that determines that it's unsportsmanlike foul? We ask you to do this in real time as if you were on the floor refereeing the game. Again, let's focus on the 4 options that you have. Your decisions are a personal foul, an unsportsmanlike foul, a legal play, and the ever popular, I do not know. If you decide unsportsmanlike foul, identify quickly which of the 5 criteria fits. Our most difficult video we're going to look at today is actually going to be video number 1 that's going to ask us to go to the next level of our thinking, exactly where we started today, taking this to the next level. Let's run the video. We'll run the video all the way through, and then we'll probably come back. Excellent. Petri, can we stop it right about there, if you can? Perfect. So this is a great video to test our understanding of the various principles and protocols. The immediate reaction for many is that this is an unsportsmanlike foul C3. But let's test this. If we watch it carefully, and we'll go back and watch it one more time when I'm finished, we see that the defender actually moves to play defense. And the protocol tells us to find the point of contact. When we look carefully at where we stopped the video, the defender has moved to his left to get position. And when he reaches with his left arm, the contact is actually shoulder to shoulder. It is not arm, hand, to and across the body. In fact, the arm and the hand never get to the body. We do not have the criteria of a UFC 3 This is a basketball play, and this is a personal foul. So Petri, I'm going to ask you to play it one more time and then stop it at this exact point to come back for the group. Excellent in the slow motion. Right there. You can see this player has taken a full step to his left. He's actually moved to play defense. Does he get there? Does he establish legal guarding position? No, absolutely not. But he has taken a conscious move to his left, and he goes to make a play on the ball. And our point of contact, the action is shoulder to shoulder. This is a legitimate basketball play and is a personal foul. I'm sure at the end we'll have some questions about this one, but let's go to our next video. And the advantage of this is we're going to see what I'm going to describe as a similar play, but different. And let's identify what is different. Perfect. So our protocol tells us find the point of contact. What is the action? If we measure this play against the C3 criteria, we see that the defender makes no move. There is no footwork. The only action is to make contact against the offensive player with the arm and an open hand to the midsection. Our criteria, unnecessary contact to stop the transition. This is a C3. Our point of contact is to the body. There's no movement. This is an unnecessary contact to stop the transition. And in fact, this play is why the rule was created. Between video 1 and video 2, these are great opportunities to move our decision-making to the next level. On video 1, we saw the defense move. We saw point of contact with shoulder to shoulder in a legitimate basketball play. This play is merely unnecessary contact to stop the transition. Perfect. Let's move to video 3.
Oko Rogic, Giordano onto Bogdanovic around the high screen to Kramanic and
So what is your decision? This is a critical play to see start, develop, and finish. A critical play to identify what is the point of contact. The red player goes to the floor fairly hard. If we're refereeing emotionally, we see contact to the head and we see a player go down hard and we react emotionally. But if we see the whole play, we see the start, develop, finish, and we clearly identify the point of contact, we identify the action, we see that it's the back of the forearm to the cheek of the offensive player. What's the action? What is the defender trying to do? The defender is merely trying to go around the screen. And it's the contact between the screener and the defender that causes the arm to come up. Look at the palm. What direction is the open palm facing? It's clearly away from the player that is contacted. Ask yourself, is the defender doing anything other than a basketball play? If we're critical and we do the analysis, this is a basketball play, and the criteria for C1, not a legitimate attempt to play the ball, or C2, excessive hard contact, are simply not there. This is a personal foul. It's a basketball play. So let's have a look at it Let's try and identify the point of contact, identify the action,
Rocco Rogic.
ask ourselves,
Giordano
are
onto
we 100%
Bogdanovic around the high
sure?
screen to Kramanic and
See that it's the action by the screener that actually causes the chasing player to be in this position where the back of the forearm with the palm facing the other way comes up and makes contact. One more time, we say, if we process the whole play, start, develop, finish, we clearly identify that this is a basketball play. If we skip any of those steps, we don't identify, start, develop, and finish, we don't identify the point of contact, and we don't understand the basketball action, we will react emotionally and we will call an unsportsmanlike foul, and this play is a personal foul. In the complementary videos, I believe video 5 should be a compilation of 3 clear black and white UFC ones, not a legitimate attempt to play the ball. I haven't actually checked the complementary video that was posted, but it should be there, and I encourage you to review it on your own time. They're very helpful, and they're clear C1 fouls in the 3 combined videos. This video here, let's run it through and watch the play and see if we can see start, develop, finish. Take a breath and consider all the key points we're talking about today about going to the next level and ensuring our focus is on point of action, point of contact, and having a full understanding of the criteria. Recognizing to call an unsportsmanlike foul, we need to be 100% sure. We consider it against our scale of 1 to 10. Where are we? Are we 9 and above? But if we have a play that fits the criteria, we're 100% sure we're at 9 and above, we need to make the call.
Hit his last 3. All layups. And now Teodosic. Referees to go look at this. Let's see, setting the screen, and Teodosic kind of just trying to run through it, lowers his shoulder. All layups.
It's possible to stop it right. What's your decision? What is the point of contact? What is the action? The point of contact here is the elbow. At any time, is an elbow to the chest midsection of an opponent a basketball play? No, this is clearly not a basketball play. Now, we ask ourselves, is this excessive hard contact? As we consider, when we go back and watch it again, but we're going to freeze here now, we will see that the player makes contact with an elbow, not a basketball play, but he doesn't stop. He follows through. He leads with the elbow and drives it forward in a manner that we can only determine is excessive and hard. This play rises to a C2. This is an unsportsmanlike foul criteria C2. And we know between C1 and C2, we always default to C2.
Hit his last 3. All layups. And now Teodosic. Referees to go look at this. Let's see, setting the screen, and Teodosic kind of just trying to run through it, lowers his shoulder. All layup.
Excellent. I'm thinking that all 111 of us on the screen can see this play, see an unsportsmanlike foul, C2, and we all see red. Perhaps marginally different shades, but we all see red. Unsportsmanlike foul, criteria 2. Let's move to our 5th of 7 videos.
As Petrusov put pressure on him. 3.5 seconds on the shot clock as well, so you got to get a quick shot if you're Serbia. Watch Teodosic.
Same game again.
Oh boy, breakdown. Oh, that's going to be unsportsmanlike. They are not even going to have to review that one. And then he made sure he wasn't going to get the shot off, but you can't do it like this. Yeah. Very, very dangerous. Oh boy, breakdown. Oh, that's going to be unsportsmanlike.
So we see clearly that the defender jumps forward and makes excessive hard contact. On this play, we certainly have an unsportsmanlike foul, C2, UF C2. The lead official, the center official, both recognize that we have excessive and hard contact. There's no doubt on this play. This is 100% clear, a UF C2. However, we ask ourselves, we must consider, does this rise to a disqualifying foul? If we look at this carefully, we will see that we have the jump forward, we have hard and excessive contact. We actually do have the arm come through, and we can see that, but we do not have any sort of a follow through. And if you look carefully, when you go back and watch this video when it's available to you, the defender actually tries to hold himself up and does not want to carry through. He recognizes exactly what's going to happen on this play. That's great there. Certainly the arm comes down, but he gets it back up immediately. No question, hard and excessive, but it does not rise to a flagrant action. We need a flagrant action to have a disqualifying foul, and this doesn't rise to being a flagrant action. While we must consider if this is disqualifying, this play does not get there. UF C2. In the complementary videos, there's a video 7, which is a play that is called a UF C2, but on an examination of our principles, if we find the action, find the contact, we must be 100% sure we will see that it's actually a personal foul. That play is two big men, two strong big men playing hard, but there's no follow through on what is solid contact. Video 8 in the complementary videos is a play that is difficult for the naked eye. Our immediate reaction is that the ball handler goes to the floor hard. We react and want to call an unsportsmanlike foul. But our principles and protocols to follow, we must be 100% sure. And on that video, if we actually find the point of contact and stop it at the 14-second mark, we'll actually see that it's the offensive player that makes the contact with the back foot. Let's watch this video and let's concentrate on the concept of stay with the play.
Do you have the unsportsmanlike foul that I called?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's contact to the chin, and I think it's just an unsportsmanlike.
Yeah.
Okay, do you agree? C2 criteria.
Okay, that's great. I'm going to talk, if it's possible, Petri, while I talk anyway. So what is your decision? We have a personal foul on the defense first, followed by an additional action. Our slide earlier told us that we need to stay with the play, see the start, develop, and finish. This is a very nice job by the referee to stay with this play. He clearly recognizes an additional action has occurred after the first foul. And strikingly, at the monitor, he speaks to contact with the chin. So he's identified live the action and the point of the contact. During the review, he confirms this action, the elbow to the chin. We have all the criteria we need for an unsportsmanlike foul C2. This is a very good play to go to the IRS on because we have so much going on with the first foul and then this arm comes up. This is a reaction by the offensive player who wishes to shed the player that has entered his cylinder, the player that has committed illegal contact, but that does not give him any sort of a right to commit an illegal contact himself. He brings his arm up, and with the elbow, he makes contact with the opponent's chin in a hard and excessive manner. UFC2. Nice job by the crew on this game. I'm going to answer the question that I saw flash up on the screen right now. There's a question that says, do we ignore the first contact? Absolutely not. The first contact is called a foul. That first contact is an illegal contact that has a consequence. The white player, the defender, is charged with a foul for that contact. We simply get the second piece of contact, the illegal move with the arm, the elbow to the chin, and that rises to an unsportsmanlike foul. So personal foul on white, unsportsmanlike foul on red. This is our last video, folks, and then we'll open it up to questions for a few minutes and then call it a day. So as I said, everybody was here last week. Possible to stop about there, Petri, or come back to there at some point. Perfect, anywhere in there. Why are we showing this video again? Last week, we talked about the open angle, and it was the lead referee or the lead referee transitioning to trail that has the open angle. Let's measure this play against our criteria. The player that's lying on the floor, blue number 6, does he have legal guarding position? I'm sure some of you may think, Mike, you're a nut. Why are you asking the question, does he have legal guarding position? This is all part of our principles. He does not have legal guarding position. He extends his leg, again, on its own, outside the cylinder, and with the foot makes contact with the opponent. This contact is not legal. We know our point of contact, we know our action. So we look at the criteria. We can't see it on this part of the screen. We can see it earlier. We don't need to go back. But we will actually see that all 4 teammates of blue 6 are behind him, closer to the basket they're attacking. So we have all the criteria we need for a C4. The player is progressing to the basket. There's no other opponent between the player, the ball, and the basket. The contact is lateral from the side. There's no question we have the criteria for a C4. We also have the criteria for a C1, not a legitimate attempt to play the ball. But in this case, our protocol tells us we default to a C4 when we're between a C1 and a C4. I'm going to ask Petri to show the whole play again, go a little further in the video to near the end. I'm going to make one last comment, and then we're going to come off for any questions. Play it all the way through. So perfect. We see that the official transitioning from lead to trail has an open angle, as we talked about last week. We actually see that the other 2 officials don't have a great look at it. If you watched this game live, you would have seen that the officials would have come together and they actually went to the IRS on this because the other officials were not 100% sure. However, our calling official was 100% sure there was no need to go to the IRS. Calling official, 100% sure, open angle. We do not need to question that decision, no need to go to the IRS. I'm going to go back, and I did notice that there was a follow-up to that previous question around ignoring the first contact on the earlier video. As we said, no, we call them. And can the same referee report 2 fouls at the same time? Absolutely. Yes. I apologize. I'm a picky guy. So the answer is clearly yes. And you would report them in the order that they occur. You would report the first foul on the white defender, and then you would report the unsportsmanlike foul on the dribbler for the elbow contact to the chin. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If there's any other questions for a minute, if somebody wants to come off, you can come off of mute. I don't see anything else in there, but I want to just go back and do a quick summary. Our focus was on moving all of us to the next level in understanding the unsportsmanlike foul, in understanding how to define the action, to describe the action that leads to the decision. We talked about key phrases: define the action, identify the point of contact. You can't call it unless you're 100% sure. Only call it if you're 100% sure. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? Are you 9 and above? And if it occurs, if the action is there, we need to make the call. We call the unsportsmanlike foul. Babacar has a question in the other piece. So I'm just going to read it. For the process to call an unsportsmanlike foul, the number 0 means that the referee must first blow his whistle before showing the foul. Certainly, Babacar. We always have the whistle. But where I'm going to go with your statement or your question here is, without doubt, every time we have a whistle, we say, when you blow, you owe. And when you blow and you owe the signal and you owe the verbal support. At the point of the foul, color, number, consequence. So when you blow, you owe. Well, Petri, thank you very much for all the help today. Armando, thank you. I know that Carl was tied up and Carl may have stepped off the call. So I'd like to thank everybody for their attendance today. I hope there was some value for all of you. It was great for me to be able to go through the participants and see very many people that I know, people I have great respect for, and I know you will all do a great job during this upcoming window and continue to grow your careers.
Yes, please. I have a question about the situation when it's an unsportsmanlike foul and disqualifying foul. This video, do you remember? Yeah, the question is, there is an excessive contact in the video, but to upgrade unsportsmanlike foul to disqualifying foul, I think the point of contact, if it was in the face or in the head, I think it's very, very dangerous. And also, if the player is blooding, I think we should upgrade from unsportsmanlike foul to disqualifying foul.
So what I'm going to say is that it's very difficult unless we actually have an example of something we can see to go directly where you're going. And I'm going to encourage all of us to understand that a disqualifying foul means it's a flagrant, excessive hard contact or some other flagrant action. And to rise to that, we would look for things like the follow through. We would look for things like a purposeful contact to the head. We would look for things like the player commits the unsportsmanlike foul and then follows through and I'll say drives the player to the floor or perhaps lands on them, jumps on them. So I'm not disagreeing with what you say. I'm just saying that we really have to be able to see the play and measure it against our criteria. A disqualifying foul, if it is there, we call it. But again, we're 100% sure. And on that actual video that we saw, if you go back and watch it carefully, you can actually see that the defender, he tries while he's up in the air to actually pull himself back, but he's a big man with momentum. So I'll stop there, and I may not have satisfied you with the answer, but hopefully it makes sense. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you again. For me, here it's still morning, about 9 a.m. And for many of you, it's afternoon, late evening, and for a couple, the middle of the night. Thank you for taking the time. I know we're back with another session next Thursday, and there is a webinar scheduled, an open webinar scheduled for Monday the 8th. Thank you kindly, Petri, Armando. Thank you again. Everybody have a great day.